All right, I'll start and take any questions you have. Good to get back out there. Had a good practice today, and finally had like a fall day, as I know to be a fall. I got a great test this week. A place that be a lot of noise, be great energy. It's a great defense. Statistically, they're ranked very highly in many categories. They're well coached. Be a great challenge for us, great opportunity. And I got to have a great week to get ready to go do that. And, that was what today was about. So, take any questions you have.
Yeah, Kirk, so how do you feel you're rebounding from that one as you all get back to work today?
Yeah, that's kind of the challenge always in pro football is being able to kind of get back up off the mat and get back up and going and try to put together a much stronger performance and get back on the right track as quickly as you can. And so, it's not the first time, unfortunately, that I'll have had to have done that. But, certainly it's always something you're aware of in pro football that you got to do, and this week will be no different.
You mentioned an expectation for a lot of noise. Raheem says he didn't know whether to expect it to be hostile or supportive for your what's your expectation for how you'll be greeted?
Yeah, they're great fans. They're great football fans, and I would think as a result they'll make it as hostile as they can for us. So it's a great fan base, and I believe the last time the Falcons played there, it was an empty stadium, probably, if I'm remembering right. So they didn't get to experience it then, but in 2019 they did, and it's a good fan base.
What's different about going back to a place and a team that you played with before?
Well, usually when you play on the road, you don't know too many people, and I think just the familiarity of having so many people, certainly a part of the organization, and also, people in the stands too that have had a big impact on your life, and you're very grateful for. So that's certainly a different dynamic, but I would think between the whistles, you're not thinking about that as much. You're just trying to go win a football game, and so I don't know that it is too different when you're playing, but certainly post game there'll be a lot of people to say hello to and thank.
Hey, Kirk, just considering just kind of how the last couple 3 weeks have gone, you feel due for a breakout game?
Hopefully, we got to get back on the right track, and the best thing we can do is get another game here. So I would love to play today, really, with how you want to get back out there and get this taste out of your mouth. So, that's what we're chasing for on Sunday, is a much better outing, and they're not going to give it to us. I know that.
What are those emotions like, kind of going back to where you played for so long, and do you allow yourself to even feel that this week?
I don't know. I think you just kind of go through the week, go through your process. You understand, it's like a familiar place, but at the same time, it's happened when I played in Washington for the first time back. I had no idea where the away locker room was. I had never been in there. So in that sense, I'd been to the Washington Stadium many, many, many times, but had never been to it in that way. Kind of felt like a rookie in that sense. So that'll have that same feeling, I assume, on Sunday, where it's, okay, I've been here many times, but in this way, this is the first. So there's certainly some unique experiences there, but at the end of the day, you're there to go play a football game and go play your best and win, and that's where your focus is ultimately.
You're a fan of a good sports movie, kind of the comeback story. You're sort of weak here, coming off the game you're coming into, going back to Minnesota. There are a lot of those elements. Being inside the story, can you see that from your perspective? Do you sense that part of it?
Well, I guess now that you say it, it'd be fun. It'd be great. It would be great. But my journey's been all over the map. When I broke my ankle my junior year of high school, I didn't think I'd ever get to play in college. And so every time I come in here and I'm still talking to you all, it's always kind of I guess beat the odds there. And then, college as well. You just never even thought I'd be able to be a pro quarterback. And then when I was a fourth-round pick, I thought I was a dead end to go to Washington. So there's just so many times where I've gone through my journey. I got benched my third year. So many times we got down in my fourth year. I had thrown more picks than interceptions, and it was pretty clear if we didn't win that game, I was gonna be benched probably for a long time. And we're down 24-0, and ended up coming back and winning the game, and so it's just kind of been a deal where this league and football and my journey is, it always kicks you down, and you got to find a way to get back up, and find myself there again. I wish I would say it. I don't. I wish I could say I wasn't in that spot, but I find myself there again, and have to just believe that tough times don't last. Tough people do, and you just keep going and pushing, and at some point, they'll tell you that, hey, you're not going to get another chance. Your time is up in this league. But until then, I'm going to keep trying to pick myself up off the mat and get back to work.
I wonder if you see the way you approach things day to day, good or bad, we put it behind us. Do you see one of the biggest benefits of that being in situations like this, in that you're able to shut out that stuff and you can just sort of go back to?
Yeah, I think that there's a comforting. There's something comforting about having a process and sticking to it and not getting, too caught up in results, good or bad. But everybody's human, and so you certainly, it hurts. And I wish I could be as stoic as I want to be, but being human, you're gonna usually ride the highs and ride the lows too. And so it's always tough, after an outing like Sunday, it's tough. But all I know to do is to keep going, get back to work, find a way to get back up, and keep going. That's all I know to do.
Brian Flores' defense has given a lot of people trouble this year.
Mm-hmm.
You obviously practiced against it last year.
Mm-hmm.
How does that help your process this week, or how much can you draw from that given the number of new pieces they have this year?
Yeah, I think you said it. I don't know that it really does. I think, first of all, a year and a half ago is like an eternity in pro football. And so I think the way they've changed their personnel, the way they've evolved, the way at the time those players were playing the scheme for the first time, I think now many of those players who would still be there are so much more experienced in the scheme as well. So for all those reasons, I do think that you can't draw as much as you'd like to. But, I have a lot of respect for Coach Flores and for that group and for the guys in that team. Their production and their record and all of that is what it is for a reason. They've earned it, and they've played well, and they've been a challenge for people. And so we understand that challenge when we go there on Sunday.
This isn't your first time going back to a place you've played before, but does this one feel weird at all? Just when you talked about wanting to stay with the Vikings and hoping it would work out that way, and does it feel weird to be going back as a visitor for this one?
Well, it's certainly unique. It's not like everywhere you play on the road you've spent 6 years there. But with Washington and Minnesota, that is the case. And so we go to both those places this year. And so certainly you'll have memories come back to you when you're in both places. But it's a part of the deal. And I think for so many players in this league, we've all kind of been on other teams. It's rare to play double-digit years with one team. So, for so many of us, it's kind of the way of life when you play in this league.
It feels like the word of the week has been execute. Like we just got to execute, and we're just a second away. So where is the disconnect, or why haven't you been able to execute, especially in certain situations in the red zone? And what seems to be missing?
Yeah, I don't think it's any one answer. I think each play has its own reason, and so I think it's just so important, as a quarterback to manage the game well, to make great decisions, and to execute. Pre-snap, post-snap, and just run the operation really clean so that, you not only give yourself the best chance to play well, but also all the people around you. And that's certainly a focus this week.
If I could follow up on that, you were pretty hard on yourself post-game Sunday about some of the decisions you made, forcing passes. Have those red zone difficulties, do you think, contributed to you maybe pressing some throws, making some decisions?
Well, I just think, trying to make something happen, is can sometimes get you in trouble, and I think that happened certainly on Sunday, and you got to let the game come to you, and let the plays happen as they present themselves, and so that's important, and I think I learned that again, as I have many times. Was reminded of that again on Sunday, and so that's just part of playing, is being able to discern, when to make those tight window throws, when not to, and when to throw an opportunity ball and when not to. And it's never perfect, but you certainly try to make it as good as you can.
Winning and playing well is obviously its own reward, but is there a little extra, a little juice, going into a game, in a team where, it's your former team, and there was you left there, and they could have kept you, but maybe, I
think the emotion is really gratitude. when you think back to, that's kind of the word that comes to mind, is just gratitude. When I arrived there as a free agent, they took a chance on me. Ownership took a chance on me. The organization did. And so I think just so many teammates who gave so much to help me, coaches who gave so much to help me, even support staff, from nutrition to the weight room to equipment, to the training room. I mean, they really got me through my Achilles, tear, and were just on at the minute. For the moment I tore it until I left in free agency, they just handled everything so well in the training room. So, you just feel so much gratitude for those people, and I think that's really the main emotion you feel.
So there's more positive vibes going into that.
Yeah, I think just so grateful, so grateful going back to kind of my journey and at times not knowing if I was going to get to play beyond a broken ankle in high school, not knowing if I was going to get to play beyond a scholarship to Michigan State, and then to feel like you got 6 years at a place that was just such a great organization and great people around you and had a lot of success, and you just look back and you say, well, I'm so grateful for that.
At what point do you allow yourself to move on from a game like Sunday? I know you don't want to dwell on it for too long, but you mentioned you're only human and you'll be frustrated by those things. So how do you also use that as, I don't want to feel this again?
Well, you certainly, like today coming to the building, you've got to, get right back at it, come out to practice with the gloves on, ready to go, So you need to have that. But at the same time, you don't brush over anything either, and you understand that you can use it as kind of an edge to you as well, that, hey, we got to play better. And so, I kind of take it that way, those two ways.
You were talking about, the conversations that you had after the game and what you were frustrated by, the throws that you made that you didn't like, whatever you saw or didn't see. When you went back and watched the game, did it reaffirm those frustrations that you felt when you talked to us right after the game on Sunday?
Yeah, I think so. I think there were opportunities to make plays from the first quarter through the fourth to win that game that, I didn't make, and that's always going to hurt when you don't come out with the win. And so that game was that happened. And that's what you sign up for in pro football. When you start the season in September that, man, there's probably going to be a loss or two that's going to really eat at you. But at this point, you got to move forward. You got to learn from it, and then try to play your best now this Sunday.
Is there anything that feels different now than in October when maybe you guys were kind of cooking more as an offense?
Yeah, and I would say no, in the sense that if there was a way to say, hey, let's just get back to what we were doing in October, we would do it. I think you kind of just go through peaks and valleys sometimes, and you got to find a way when you're in the valley to get back up. And that's what we're doing right now, and trying to get back up and get going again. And so, got to find a way to do that.
When you kind of look at a lot of film, do you try to not look back at that and say, okay, we're doing this, and you don't want to get too in the details or kind of think about too much, to your point of just kind of getting out there and just playing? Yeah,
I know. I think it's helpful to be evaluate and analyze and try to come up with good answers. And then it also is important to, regardless, to just execute, and not live in the past either. So you try to do both, I think, and benefit, either way from it.
Sure. I hate to belabor it, and I appreciate your grace in handling all this. But the throw that was returned, it didn't have probably the power you would want on it. And looking at the numbers, and your performance on throws past 10 yards beyond the line of scrimmage isn't as good as where it's been. And I think the easy thing to say, clearly he's in physical state now where he used to be. And I'm curious, what would you say about that pass specifically, or performance generally on the longer throws?
Yeah, I think that one was, more like fourth down and just feeling like I felt like I needed to be decisive, and I was a little too decisive and just kind of made the decision too quick to put it out there. And you're right, it didn't have enough steam on it. It was an easy break for the DB to get to. I think downfield throws this year around the league just seem to have been a little more difficult. I think defenses are doing a good job putting a roof on coverage, and you have to, just kind of stay patient and take what they give you as they are staying with a roof on the coverage and preventing explosives. And so just trying to do that the best we can. And I think Sunday was just a reminder of the need to do that, stay patient. And, yeah.
Is there something or someone you're looking forward to seeing most when back in Minnesota?
Charlie Werner asked me that, and it was very difficult to answer. My next door neighbor the neighbor across the cul-de-sac would probably be someone that comes to mind non-football because of how much he helped me over the years, and their family helped us as a family. But within the organization, I mean, there'd be 50 people tied for first, I think, that I'd want to see most. So hard to answer that one, but it'll be fun to see him.
Kirk, have you stayed in touch with Kevin O'Connell much? I know you guys are both busy, but given how close you
Yeah. I don't even know the rules nowadays with tampering, right? So we've kind of been through this, Ben. I have friends in the league on other teams, so I don't know if friendships are allowed or not. But yeah, I do try to relate to people around the league legally, and I don't know. I guess if it's illegal to text your friend, then I'm sorry, but yes, I do try to keep in touch with a lot of people there, and Kevin's certainly one of them, you know.
Is the neighbor you're referencing the one who used to shovel your...
Yep. John Weber, great man. He kind of represents so much about Minnesota that is great. Is who John Weber is as a person, was who so many people there were, you know.
As a native Georgian, I'm going to stipulate that we call this winter as opposed to you calling it fall.
Yeah, well said. Yeah, you're right. You know, 22 degrees this morning getting up, and yeah, that's winter here. That'd be probably mid-fall in Minnesota, you know. And it was always interesting how they kind of I'd never seen someone embrace winter so much as Minnesota. You know, they just made it work, but it was unique.
Are you hoping for some white stuff this weekend?
I don't know. You know, I think my wife would be probably, but I'm good with whatever.
Anything else?
All right. Thanks.